Hello, my name is Ted Rasmusson. I'm the Story County Treasurer, and I was honored to be elected 4 years ago by the people of Story County, and have been very proud to serve these last 4 years. It's been a great experience, and I've really enjoyed contributing to the community and helping out. A little bit about me. I grew up on the east side of Story County at a family farm outside of Colo. It was my mom's family farm. At the age of 10, we moved all of 10 miles away to my dad's family farm, stayed on the farm. Colonesco High School graduate, went on to Simpson College. After college, I worked in Des Moines for a while, and then I got my master's degree at Drake University in public administration. That was a great experience, and at the completion of that, I had been in the private sector. I really wanted to get into the public sector and just get more involved in the community. And my wife and I were blessed. We moved from Ankeny up to that family farm I grew up on outside of Colo. My wife worked at Iowa State, so that was a great move for us to be up here in the community. And I just was getting more and more involved, and in 2018 I felt like I really was ready, and I ran for this office, and I was really lucky, and I felt very honored that the people of Story County trusted me to oversee their funds and take care of the office. In my time in the office, I've really had a lot of plans that a little thing called COVID-19 derailed initially. So it was an interesting term. It wasn't the term I envisioned when I got in there, but learned so much in those 4 years, and I've got a chance to be really active in our State Treasurers Association as a legislative liaison. And this year I'm going to serve as an officer, and I've attended continuing ed and become a certified treasurer in the association. And I just want to be involved in those groups just as a chance to make sure that things work better for people in Story County. I really want the folks here to have any interaction with us go as smooth as possible, whether that's paying their property tax or buying a new car. So I am one that asks a lot of questions, and I get involved, and sometimes I ask questions that get me further involved than I expected, but it's worked out great in the last year. Due to those questions and getting involved, I've started leading a team between treasurers and automotive dealers. And we're working on legislation to help the car buying experience be as easy as possible. And without those interactions directly with the Dealers Association, that wouldn't be possible. So that's a really big relationship we've built. Another relationship I've built, which just happened again because we had some issues here in Story County, is we've started a manufactured and mobile home task force, and a group that's working with manufactured home park owners to try to provide as much, again, transparency and clarity with those mobile home and manufactured home laws, which can be confusing to people. And those parks offer a real good alternative for folks, an alternative living situation that's a little bit easier for low-income folks or people that just aren't ready to commit to a full house. It's a great option, and building up those relationships, we're trying to improve that situation too. So when I get involved in those things, it really is for the benefit of our office and the benefit of Story County residents, so we can make things as easy to deal with our government agency as possible. I know that not everybody likes to see mail from me, but really what we do in our office by collecting those funds helps cities, helps schools, helps the county. It's really that first line of what you see your government, your local government providing for you, and the services that people come to count on. So I've been very, very blessed and honored to serve in that capacity for 4 years. I look forward to serving the people of Story County going on into the future. Recently, my wife and my 8-year-old, soon-to-be 9-year-old daughter built a house at that second family farm we went to. We built one out there. We love it here in Story County. This is an amazing place to raise a family. It's an amazing place to set roots and stay in, and looking forward to 4 more years serving these great people of Story County. Hopefully you guys will consider voting for me, and I want to thank the Ames Chamber of Commerce for inviting me here to answer the questions. In the last 4 years when I came into the office, there was a lot of just, tension and mistrust. It was kind of an interesting election. There were some issues inside the office, and there was not as much communication as there probably needed to be through all the levels of the office. And really my attitude was, let's start in here. Transparency here first. I wanted everybody that worked in the office on our team to really feel like we could have dialogue whenever they had an issue, whenever they had something come up. So my first real focus was gaining their trust, explaining that, I want a true open door policy. Like, if you have something, please come in and talk to me. I'm gonna be here for you. I'm gonna be present. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna see if we can change things. It started with them. And what we found was an open door policy when you're busy doesn't really mean much because nobody's got time to come in and talk to you. So I started setting up one-on-ones with every staff member, 30 minutes once a month. I said, we don't have to go the full 30 minutes. If we only have 10 minutes to talk about, we're done in 10 minutes. It was part to get to know them, part to get to know what issues they felt needed to be addressed in the office, part to just get that dialogue going of, if you have something, come to me. And I'm going to come to you with everything I've got. And that started the real building of the transparency. And I think that what we do is incredibly complicated. The transferring of a vehicle from one person to another is usually straightforward, but there are lots of things that make it a lot harder. And the minute you throw in one of those things that make it harder, you've got to be very careful because this is somebody's, very big asset. Somebody's car is important to them. You've got to make sure that that goes right. So it was really about getting everybody on the same page, getting everybody feeling comfortable chatting with each other, talking with each other. And that transparency started there within our office. From there, our big thing is if somebody comes to us with a question, we want to answer it right away. If a member of the public emails, calls, we want to answer it right away. If it's one that my deputies can handle very well, and it's a technical question that they're going to answer probably more completely than I can, just because they've got so many years experience between them, then I let my deputy answer, and then I try to follow up and say, this is why we're doing it this way. This is what the challenges we face. And my attitude's always like that why. If you can tell somebody why, it's a lot better, especially for transparency, rather than just saying, we're doing this because the DOT tells us to. That's an easy out, but it's good to give a different perspective. So I am definitely an over explainer. So I'm sure that there's members of the public who have asked a simple question as to why do I have to pay this little fee? And I've given them a very long email where they're like, oh man, I did not need all of that from him. But I feel like that's the only way to really be transparent and to explain to them, there are challenges we face in the office and this is why we do things the way we do them. And in terms of streamlining operations, the other thing we've added is we've added a monthly meeting where we have everybody together, and it's a challenging job because a lot of laws change. I mean, as you know, you're down at sorry, I'm not just talking to Greg, I'm talking to everybody. The state legislature changes laws frequently. And when the state legislature changes them, we're the ones who have to implement them. And it's very good to have us meet once a month, make sure that we're all on the same page, make sure that we're doing things the right way. We also do some smaller meetings, just motor vehicle focus, where we address those weekly. We let each clerk have a turn come in once a week for 20 minutes. And we just say, is there anything strange that happened at the counter that you're like, why did we do that? And if that comes up, or they might not have even had it, they might have just said, well, I heard my neighbor, there was something where the person had a car given to them by a grandmother who had died 5 years ago and nobody knew where the title was. What do we do in that situation? So what we do is we kind of come up with a plan, and then we communicate that out to the whole team through an email as kind of a wrap up. Hey, this is what we've decided. This is how we handle these situations. So that's kind of really been our big focus, is keeping everybody on the same page, keeping everybody well informed, and making sure that everybody understands that if they have a question, we're going to answer it to the best of our knowledge. And that's whether it's somebody within our department, within the county offices, or a member of the public who's just like, why do you guys have blue ink instead of black ink? Why can't I sign this title with a crayon instead of a pen? So we do our best to let everybody know what's going on as best we can. So I am a little bit of a nerd in the fact that I think property taxes are a fascinating subject, a very, very interesting subject. Not everybody feels that way. I've been known to bore people with my discussion of property taxes. But I think the first thing we do is we offer a lot of ways to pay them. So, you can mail those property taxes into us, you can bring them into our office, and we're usually, even at our busiest time this year in September, we weren't seeing much more than a 15-minute wait. So we're really good at moving people through that line. We added a drop box during COVID that now comes directly into our office. There were a lot of people who, we have a second drive-up drop box that people really like being able to just drive up and put in, but some people just don't feel comfortable about putting a check for that amount of money out in a drop box out away from the building. So now we have two 24-hour drop boxes, and then we have online payments for that's both for property taxes and registration renewals. And I think during the pandemic, people realized just how easy it is to do that online payment, to just log in, get it done. It gives you a receipt right there on the website. You know if your payment was processed. So we just want to offer a lot of options and make it as easy as possible. The other thing we do in our office is, again, that over communication. If somebody has any questions about property taxes, all of our clerks do a really good job answering them. We also try to use the county's social media channels to get out there in front of things and explain what's going on, explain why this tax is due or what's going on here. We saw that recently with the city of Zering, had a situation where the city council didn't get a budget approved, so the city of Zering itself didn't get to levy property taxes, but the school, the county, the local hospital, the local area education administration, etc., all did levy taxes. So when you do that, the city's portion was taken out, so the tax rate was much lower, but rumors started to go around Zering that nobody has to pay property taxes this year. So that was one that we definitely wanted to get out in front of, educate them. And I guess our attitude is people don't appreciate paying property taxes every time, or maybe they appreciate what they get for their property taxes, but they don't necessarily enjoy it. But they definitely enjoy paying them online or on time, rather than getting a notice that they're late and then having an additional fee added on top. So as much as we can help them get them paid on time, it just makes it go a lot smoother. So our office holds the money for everybody. And you'd be surprised by how many ways the county takes in money, things that you don't think of. Animal shelter takes in money frequently. The conservation unit takes in money. The sheriff's office takes in money. Even the jail, the commissary there takes in money. All of those have to be processed through our office. So all of those departments work with us. We do the deposits for them. We keep them in the bank, and we kind of protect that money. Then we let the auditor know that it's there to spend when those departments need to spend it. So we have a fairly regular interaction with most departments just through that money, safekeeping of the money and taking in the money. But something that I really went out of my way for right at the start was these monthly training sessions that I mentioned. I tried to invite each of the elected officials, and then some, the assessor technically isn't an elected official, and some department heads in, just to kind of talk to our crew about, this is how we interact, this is what our office does, this is what we need from you, this is how you can make our lives easier and our jobs work better in the county. And I think that was really informative for our group to learn more about all the other departments, and I think it was helpful for the other departments to say, this is how we want to help you. Will it work for you? Is there anything we can do better? So that's a big one. And then the treasurer's office, I work incredibly close with both the recorder's office and the auditor's office. Those two offices, we intermingle a lot. So if you go out and buy a boat, you get a really nice boat and you get a trailer to pull your boat around, you have to come into my office to get a license plate for your trailer, but you have to go across the hall to Stacy Harridge, the recorder, to get your boat with the DNR registered. So we have a lot of situations like that where somebody will come in and we're like, yeah, we get to do the boring stuff, she gets to do the fun stuff. She gets to do the ATV in the boat and things like that. And then with the auditor's office, like I say, every time we bring in that money, the way that the county offices are separate, it's our job to keep in and safeguard the money, but we don't spend it. That's the auditor's job. So there's a lot of communication between us and the auditor, and this is what's available, this is in this fund, and when you need to spend it, it's there for you. And just to follow up on that quick, I think that right now, the current group that we have in the county, and this is both for elected officials and non-elected officials, is an incredibly efficient group and gets along and works very well together. And that makes my job a lot easier when everybody is pulling in the same direction. I think we have, we're blessed in Story County to have a really great group of people at the moment.
How do you keep them?
So the first part of that is really as simple as it gets. You got to pay them well. You got to compensate them fairly for, especially our job is a very technical job. What I tell people is, if you work as a clerk at our office, it's not like you just take a piece of paper, scan it, and say, you owe me $132.50 and here's your license plate. It's so governed by Iowa code and by the DOT's rules and regulations and our individual treasurer's office rules and regulations that they have to know a lot, and they have to know a lot of technical stuff. And turnover just costs us a lot of money in terms of, if we have to constantly train people, it makes the line longer when they're training in the back instead of at the front. It makes us have to take time to fix possible mistakes rather than keeping things moving forward. So it is much more valuable to retain an employee than to go out and get new ones. That has a ton of value, and we've been working to get them more competitively compensated according to the market. And we were able to do that with the comp study last year and an implementation that puts them at a much better place. Public jobs have IPERs, which is incredible. It's very wonderful. It's tough to recruit a 25 to 30-year-old on saying, in 30 years, you'll be able to retire with IPERs. It'll be great. They're like, well, I gotta do something besides just eat ramen noodles for the next 30 years. So that's the first part. The competitive wages have helped a lot, though. And then our next one is, we want to onboard them as soon as possible. It's really hard to keep an employee or to keep a team member if you set them in the corner and you say, well, we're going to train you, but just sit there and be bored out of your mind. So our attitude is, we're going to train you right away, and then we're going to have you start helping and start feeling like you're part of the team, helping on the simple things at first. Our most simple transaction is a registration renewal. So we're going to have you learn how to do registration renewals right away. Then we're going to build you up and keep going, but we're going to keep you active and engaged as much as we can from day one. It's going to be a challenge going forward as, people in a marketplace now, they want flexible schedules, they want work from home options, they want those types of things. Well, as a public office, people expect us to be there available to them from 8 to 4:30 so they can come do their business. So that's just not something we're really going to be able to provide. So it's really just about building a culture that really invites them in and keeps them there, and then paying them what they deserve, and not making them have big eyes for other spots in the market where they can go. I mean, right now it's a very competitive marketplace, and we want to keep our people because we think we're pretty lucky to have great ones right now.
the economy in general.
Yep.
How has your office been able to cope with all the increased spending?
So this one is kind of an easy one for us. We are already so over the top in our accounting that there's no really regulation that is, nothing too onerous was added on top of what we already do. We balance to the penny every single day. And there are some days where, you know, come 4 o'clock, we're a little worried, but we do not leave until we are balanced and we have that every penny accounted for. We take it very seriously that we are taking care of, you know, with property taxes and things like that, it's Story County's money. With these federal funds, it's beyond that. It's, you know, it's all Americans' money, and we take that privilege and that honor of protecting that very seriously. We are audited by the state every year, and, you know, they go through everything, and we want to be able to, you know, back to that transparency thing. We want to show them everything we've done with every dollar we've been given. So the new funding that has come from the federal level has been I guess the added regulations are more on where it's spent, not necessarily safeguarding it. So we're lucky that we had a couple people from our county, I believe it was Lisa Heddens and Lisa Markley, who is our budget coordinator within the auditor's office. And if Lisa watches this, I apologize if I don't have her title correct. Assistant auditor and budget coordinator, Lisa Markley. And she, the two of them served on a board with other counties to determine what's acceptable spending. And they went very in depth with the federal government as to where can we spend this that is okay, where can we do this. So it was really more on the board's end and on the auditor's end on making sure that those dollars were spent in areas where they could be spent, rather than on our end in terms of safeguarding them. We just, you know, we keep track and we safeguard everybody's money, and we already had that to a level which was acceptable for auditing.